We're here at the MISIS EMEA Market Forum, and I'm speaking to Lav Kataria of Saudi Holland Bank. And you gave a presentation yesterday at the conference where you talked about a lot of the repositioning of the bank to focus more on retail and sort of mid-cap. So I just want to know what were some of the reasons behind that move.
I think coming out of the crisis, one of the big lessons that we learned was do not put all your eggs in one basket. We were before that essentially an institutional bank, and by institutional bank I mean largely focused on the large cap corporates, and obviously we had some issues coming out of the crisis, and one of the big outcomes of that was how do we reposition ourselves to be looking at a broader segment of customers, and then we very clearly looked at we should be looking at mid-cap corporations. We should be looking at SME, and of course we need to be looking at not the entire sort of spectrum of retail customers. Stay focused on the high net worth. Stay focused on the salaried individuals, and then really diversify the company so that we have a bigger risk profile to manage rather than just be focused on one set of companies.
What were some of the challenges that you guys faced when sort of enhancing the retail side of the business?
Of course, on the retail side, distribution becomes very important. And if you do not have the right distribution, then it becomes very difficult, especially on the coverage side. And I think we looked at that and we realized that we're not going to be one of the largest banks in Saudi Arabia. So we said, how should we overcome this? And obviously looking at digital channels, looking at remote channels seem to be the right solution in today's world where we have technological advancements taking place there. So mobility was a big option that we looked at to really go after this market, and that's what we're sort of pursuing at this point of time.
I mean, yeah, mobile's big news in all areas of banking, but what were some of the challenges that were unique to the Saudi market?
Of course, the skill sets we're talking about, and there is obviously a big drive going on at this point of time to enhance the skill sets of the local population out there, and I think the government's been pretty successful there to make that happen. But clearly, going into it, there's going to be some time before we can upskill our own employees, and obviously make sure that essentially all import parts of the bank are essentially manned by local Saudi citizens. At this point of time, we do have, and it's not just our bank problem. It's an industry-wide problem where we're looking at very critical skill sets being manned by expats. But we're working towards making that overdo that.
So what's next, the next stage of development then?
From a skill set perspective, obviously we are doing a lot of hiring at a junior level. We're making sure that we have the right training programs available. We have various what we call as management training programs across the business lines, across the risk lines, across the technological fields that we have, and obviously we've been pretty successful in doing that. So we hire people young, straight out of universities. We have in-house programs to really make sure that we upskill them in whatever areas that they should be looking at.